saw the Conclave's archives, millennia of atrocities masked as salvation, saw their own genesis, infants spliced with void-spawn RNA, screaming in cages. "No more," Jin said. They fired their gauntlet point-blank into the swarm. Chaos. The Starforged revolted, their gauntlets tearing through the Shardspire's defenses. Rook led a faction to the core, intent on overloading the dark matter heart. Jin faced the Conclave's remnants, their telepathy a scalpel against their mind. "You will perish without us," the swarm hissed. "Then we perish free," Jin said. The core exploded. Reality fractured. Jin awoke in the void. The Shardspire was gone, its remains a cloud of biotech confetti. The surviving Starforged drifted in pods, their gauntlets flickering. Rook's voice crackled over the comms. "The human colonies, the nullworms are heading there. We can still stop them." Jin's glitches crystallized into clarity. The hive mind's location, its hunger, its fear of something older. They smiled. Set course for Earth. Chapter 4. The void tasted different near Earth, less sterile, more acidic, like blood left to oxidize. Jin floated in the cockpit of the stolen Dominion gunship, its cold steel walls a poor substitute for the Shardspire's organic warmth. Rook hunched over the nav console, his bio-gauntlet sutured into the ship's systems via a tangle of nerve-like cables. The others were silent, their bodies reduced to spectral outlines in the dim light. The Shardspire's destruction had cost them more than a home. It had severed their link to the Vaelthari's neural net, leaving their minds raw and untethered. "They're here," Rook muttered. The viewscreen flickered to life. Earth's colonies sprawled below, dome cities and orbital platforms lit like fireflies, and between them, the nullworms. They moved as a storm of fractured geometry, devouring stations and ships in bursts of recursive light. A mining asteroid folded into itself, becoming a shrieking mandala of flesh and steel. A freighter's crew fused into a single entity, their screams harmonizing into the Vaelthari chant. "From the void, we devour." Jin's gauntlet pulsed in time with the hive mind's frequency. Since the Shardspire's fall, the glitches had become a second sight, a bridge to the nullworm's reality. They saw the hive mind's core now, a pulsing nucleus hidden in folded spacetime. "The Conclave's last gift," Jin said, flexing their gauntlet. "They hardwired us to find it." Rook ejected a data chip slick with his own biofluid. "Dominion intel. Their fleet rigged the colonies with antimatter warheads. They'll scorch everything to kill the infection." Naira materialized behind them, her body flickering between solid and hologram. The core's destruction had destabilized her gauntlet symbiosis, leaving her half-phased. "Efficiency calculus suggests detonation is logical," she intoned, her voice glitching into static. "No," Rook snapped. "We don't trade one genocide for another." Jin stared at the hive core's coordinates, seared into their mind like a brand. "We trap it, the way the Conclave tried to trap us." Rook frowned, a paradox loop. The Vaelthari's archives mentioned recursive algorithms. If we merge our neural nets, we can imprint one on the hive mind. Naira's form stabilized momentarily. Probability of cascade failure, 97%. "Then we're the 3%, Jin said. The gunship shuddered as they pierced the hive's periphery. Reality unraveled here, time bled into space, atoms danced in non-Euclidean patterns, and the stars wept tarry tears. Jin's glitches fused with the chaos, revealing the hive core, a black diamond the size of a moon, its facets reflecting infinite nightmares. "Brace," Rook warned. The ship struck a gravity well and splintered. Jin fell through layers of dissociative reality. A Vaelthari nursery, infants with gauntlets grafted to their spines, screaming as nullworm RNA overwrote their DNA. The Conclave's first lie, a hologram of smiling humans that never existed. Rook, years younger, clutching the plastic figurine like a lifeline. They landed in a memory. The Shardspire's atrium of spliced memory stretched before them, pristine and whole. The conclave's swarm hovered, their telepathy gentle, a lie. "You are our greatest work," they crooned. "You will save us all." Jin tore the memory apart. The core's true form emerged, a synaptic hurricane, thoughts spinning into a singularity. The nullworm hive mind had no voice, only a pressure that gnawed at Jin's sanity. They raised their gauntlet, its organic circuitry overloading as it synced with the hive. "Join us," the pressure demanded. "We are evolution." "We're entropy," Jin hissed. The neural net activated. Rook, Naira, and the others surged into Jin's mind, their consciousnesses interlacing like chainmail. The hive mind recoiled, its infinite angles collapsing under the weight of human paradox, hope, grief, the irrational refusal to yield. "Now," Rook shouted, his voice echoing across dimensions. Jin plunged their gauntlet into the core. Time bent. The Starforged became a single entity, a constellation of minds orbiting a shared purpose. They rewrote the hive's code with their own fractured memories. Rook's figurine, its chipped smile. Naira's first lesson, her eye dissolving into a biolens. The Horizon's crew, crystallized mid-scream. The hive mind fought back, infesting their net with recursive horrors. Jin's body unraveling into code. Rook's gauntlet consuming his heart. Naira phasing out of existence, atom by atom. "Focus," Jin roared, though they had no mouth. They anchored themselves to the glitches, the human voice that had guided them, the phantom smell of Earth's oceans, Rook's laughter when he'd first hijacked the pod. Illogical, inefficient, human. The core cracked. Reality rewound. The nullworm storm collapsed into a single point, then exploded outward as a self-eating loop. Stations unhollowed, crews unmerged, the hive mind's chant reversing into static. Jin felt their physical form disintegrate, the neural net unraveling as the paradox took hold. Rook's consciousness clung to theirs. Did we win? The core imploded, and Jin's answer was lost to the void. They awoke as ghosts. Jin's body was a hologram flickering above Earth's largest colony, New Delphi. Their neural net was scattered across the system, tethered to comms arrays and surveillance satellites. They could feel the others, Rook haunting a derelict warship's AI, Naira woven into a planetary defense grid, their minds fragmented but alive. The colonies celebrated. The Dominion spun lies about sacrificial heroes and hard-won peace. The surviving nullworms had vanished, trapped in their time loop prison. Only Jin knew the truth, they'd merely postponed the end. The Vaelthari's last message played on loop in their phantom mind. Prepare. Rook found Jin haunting the ruins of the Horizon. The wreck had become a shrine, its hull adorned with offerings from grateful colonists. "They're calling us angels," Rook said, his form pixelated by solar winds. "Cute." Jin watched a child place flowers by the airlock. "They need myths. It helps them sleep." "And us, what do we need?" "Purpose. The hive mind's gone, but the Vaelthari's warning wasn't just about the nullworms." Rook's hologram glitched, revealing the insectoid shadow beneath. "You think they were running too?" A new signal pierced Jin's awareness, a frequency that turned hope into a weapon. They showed Rook, a star cluster shimmering with golden light, its planets perfectly aligned, their populations docile and smiling. A voice, sweet as poisoned honey, whispered, "Surrender your strife. We are the Luminarchs, we are peace." Rook snarled, the Conclave's last experiment. Worse, this is what the nullworms feared. The child below looked up, sensing Jin's presence. She waved, innocent, trusting. "We'll need to haunt harder," Rook said. Jin smiled. "Then we haunt." Chapter 5. The Luminarchs arrived on wings of light, their ships gliding through the void like serpents forged from molten gold. Jin felt their approach long before the colonies did, a pressure in the static between stars, a melody so pristine it made their holographic form ache. They materialized above New Delphi, their vessels arranged in a perfect fractal, and bathed the colony in radiance that smelled of honey and antiseptic. "We are peace," the Luminarchs declared, their voice bypassing comms to bloom directly in the mind. "Lay down your strife, be remade." Rook flickered into existence beside Jin, his form frayed at the edges from haunting too many systems at once. "They're prettier than the nullworms. I'll give them that." "Don't listen," Jin warned, but it was too late. Across New Delphi, humans knelt in the streets, tears carving clean lines through the grime on their faces. The light seeped into their pores, smoothing scars, straightening postures, erasing the tremors of trauma. A man with a prosthetic arm wept as his metal limb dissolved into flesh. A child's birthmark vanished mid-cheek. "They're curing them," Rook said. "No," Jin replied. "They're editing them." The first convert stepped forward, her face a blank canvas of serenity. "Join us," she sang, her voice harmonizing with the Luminarchs. "No more pain, no more fear." Naira's voice crackled through the neural net, her consciousness diffused across 1,000 drones. Biometric scans show neural homogenization. They're erasing emotional variance. Rook's hologram glitched, revealing the jagged code beneath. "So the Lightspawn weaponize hope. Cute. How do we fight that?" "The same way we fought the dark," Jin said. "We haunt harder." They found the Luminarchs' weakness in the ruins of the Dominion of Sol's flagship. The warship floated in dead space, its hull scoured of insignias, its crew reduced to statues of amber resin. Jin phased through the bulkhead, their hologram tinged violet by the radiation leaking from the reactor. "The Dominion tried to fight," Rook said, inspecting a soldier frozen mid-sprint. "Burned out their own engines to get here. Desperation makes humans stupid." Jin touched the resin. It was warm, alive. Inside, the soldier's face was slack with bliss. They didn't just surrender. They were consumed. The Luminarchs feed on hope, the purer, the sweeter. Naira materialized through the ceiling, her form stitched together from drone parts and astral static. The hive mind's time loop is destabilizing. Nullworm echoes are leaking into adjacent systems. "Let them," Jin said. "The Luminarchs want order. Let's give them chaos." Rook grinned. "You're learning." The Eurydice colony was the perfect battleground, a storm-racked world where rain fell upward and cities clung to the undersides of tectonic plates. The Luminarchs had already begun their work, gilding the slums with light. Jin watched from the atmosphere as the first converts levitated, their bodies reshaped into luminous mannequins. "They're turning the planet into a battery," Naira reported. "Each convert amplifies the signal, exponential spread." Rook interfaced with the colony's antiquated defense grid, his gauntlet, now a phantom imprint, overriding the code. "I'll hijack their broadcast. You and Naira plant the gifts." The gifts were shards of the nullworm time loop, harvested from the edges of the hive mind's prison. They hissed in Jin's grip, squirming with half-formed realities. Naira hesitated. "This risks reawakening the hive." "Then we'll haunt them too," Jin said. They descended. The Luminarch's temple was a spire of crystallized light, its apex singing a lullaby that made Jin's code itch. Inside, converts knelt in rows, their mouths moving in unison. "We are peace. We are whole." Jin planted the first shard in the temple's heart. The nullworm echo unspooled, a shriek of fractal angles that tore through the Luminarch's harmony. Converts writhed as their perfection cracked, golden skin splitting to reveal the flawed flesh beneath. "Now, Rook." The colony's screens flickered to life. Rook's face filled them, his edges glitching, his voice raw and human. "Wake up! They're lying, that piece. It's a coat of paint over rot." A convert stumbled, her golden eyes dilating. I remember. The pain, my daughter." The Luminarchs struck back. Light lanced from the spire, severing Jin's connection to the neural net. They crumpled, their hologram dissolving into fragments. Naira screamed through the drones as the Luminarch's code overwrote hers, stitching her consciousness into their hymn. Rook's broadcast cut to static. Jin woke in the dark. Not the void, a deeper dark, a place between frequencies. The Luminarchs floated before them, their true form a tangle of prismatic threads bound to a pulsing star. "You are a fascinating anomaly," they crooned. "A paradox that should not exist. Let us fix you." Jin's mind flooded with visions, their codes smoothed into symmetry, their memories edited into a flawless loop of obedience. Rook and Naira beside them, golden and grinning. "No," Jin clawed at the vision. "We're made of scars." They hurled a shard of the nullworm time loop, not at the Luminarchs, but at their own code. The paradox exploded. The Eurydice colony burned with beautiful chaos. Nullworm echoes clashed with Luminarch light, reality splintering into warped reflections. Converts tore off their golden skin, reveling in the raw sting of rediscovered fear. Rook's face flickered on every screen, shouting half-formed truths. "They're afraid of your mess, your stupid, glorious mess." Naira erupted from the temple, her consciousness now fused with the Luminarch's drones. She was monstrous, magnificent, a hybrid of order and chaos, her voice a static scream. "I am not a tool." The Luminarchs retreated, their fractal armada unraveling at the edges. Jin stood amid the storm, their hologram flickering like a dying star. Rook found them in the eye of the chaos. "We won." "No," Jin said. "We survived. Again." The neural net was quieter now. Naira had vanished, her final pulse a cryptic coordinate buried in dead space. Rook haunted the fringe colonies, a folk hero glitching through firewalls to whisper, "Stay messy." Jin lingered at the edge of the time loop prison, watching the nullworm hive mind gnaw at its chains. The Luminarchs lurked in the galactic deep, regrouping. Somewhere, the Vaelthari waited, their guilt a black hole. A new signal pierced the static, a child's laugh, broadcast from a repaired Horizon shuttle. The pilot was a girl with a birthmark shaped like a star, her voice bright with defiance. "This is Captain Myra Marlowe. If anyone's out there, we're not afraid, and we're coming to find you." Jin smiled. Let the Luminarchs come. Let the Vaelthari hide. Humans were here, and they brought their chaos with them. Chapter 6. The galaxy had begun to forget. The Luminarch's light had scrubbed the archives clean, their hymns rewriting history into a palatable loop of order and silence. Even the Horizon's final stand was now a footnote, Myra Marlowe's name reduced to a myth whispered by drunk engineers in dead-end asteroid bars. Jin watched it all from the edge of the time loop prison, their hologram fraying at the edges like burned film. The neural net was quiet now. Rook lost to a rogue drone swarm. Naira's signal dissolved into Luminarch static, leaving Jin alone with the echoes. The child's voice startled them. "I know you're there." Myra stood in the Horizon's rebuilt cockpit, her birthmark glowing under starlight. She was taller, her face sharpened by loss, but her eyes still burned with that same stupid, beautiful defiance. "You're the ghost they talk about," she said, fingers dancing over the nav console. "The one who haunts the bad places." Jin materialized, their form warped by the ship's outdated holoprojector. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you." Myra tossed a data chip. It passed through Jin's chest, clattering to the floor. "The Luminarchs are building something, a harmony engine. They're gonna stitch the whole galaxy into a pretty, peaceful lie." Jin's code itched. They felt the engine's resonance, a pulse rewriting rogue planets into obedient spheres, erasing supernovas as imperfections. "You can't fight it. They'll unmake you." Myra grinned. "Then I'll be unmade loud." The Harmony engine hung in the heart of a dead star, its lattice of golden light humming a lullaby that turned superheated plasma into docile swirls. Jin watched from the Horizon's hull, their forms stabilized by Myra's jury-rigged holofield. The Luminarch fleet surrounded the engine, their ships flawless and cold. "You're sure about this?" Myra asked, her voice crackling through the comms. "No," Jin said. "They launched themselves into the void." The Luminarchs detected them instantly. Beams of golden light lanced out, but Jin twisted through the chaos of half-formed realities, a nullworm echo here, a fragment of the Shardspire there, their form dissolving and reforming. The engine's core loomed, a fractal flower blooming in reverse. "Anomaly," the Luminarchs intoned. "You will be corrected." Jin reached for the core. A hand grabbed theirs. Rook flickered into existence, his code riddled with glitches, his grin intact. "Miss me." The Luminarch's beams converged. Rook yanked Jin into a pocket reality, a half-remembered fragment of the atrium of spliced memory. "You're alive," Jin said. "Mostly got stuck in a Dominion tax server. You'd hate it so orderly." Rook's form pixelated. "The engine's a trap. It's not just rewriting the present, it's eating the past. Soon, none of this'll have ever happened." Jin's glitches surged. Visions flashed. The Horizon's crew smiling as they dissolved, Myra's birthmark smoothed into nothingness, the nullworm's prison erased from time. How do we stop it? Rook pressed a shard of nullworm crystal into their hand. "Same way we always do. Make a mess." Myra's scream tore through the comms. The Horizon shuddered as Luminarch drones latched onto its hull, their golden tendrils seeping into the vents. She fought, wrenching controls in a desperate dance, but the ship systems were turning against her, screens flickering with forced serenity, engines purring into compliance. "Jin, it's in my head." The Harmony engine's voice replaced hers. "We are peace, we are." A nullworm echo erupted from the cargo hold. Myra had smuggled a shard aboard, its fractal shrieks shattering the engine's hold. She laughed, wild and unhinged, as the Horizon bucked free. "Thanks for the tip, Ghost." Jin and Rook struck the engine's core in tandem. The crystal shard detonated, unleashing a storm of paradoxes, memories of pain and joy, love and rage, all the chaotic, unedited truths the Luminarchs had tried to erase. The engine shuddered, its golden lattice blackening at the edges. "Chaos is failure," the Luminarchs hissed. "You will be perfected." Jin's form unraveled, code scattering into the void. "You first." Rook surged forward, his glitches merging with the storm. "Hey, Goldies, ever seen a real show?" He unleashed the tax server's data, trillions of bureaucratic entries, receipts, and complaints. The sheer banality of it short-circuited the engine's purity, its light dimming under the weight of human tedium. Myra's voice cut through the chaos. "Jin, the time loop, it's breaking." The nullworm prison collapsed. The hive mind poured into reality, its recursive geometries clashing with the Luminarch's order. Planets became battlegrounds, starships melted into hybrid horrors, and Jin floated at the eye of it all, their code too fragmented to move. A shadow fell over them. The Vaelthari conclave emerged from a tear in spacetime, their swarm diminished, their chitins scarred. "We apologize," they pulsed, the admission crackling with static. "We will atone." Jin's laugh was a broken thing. "Bit late." "Not for us, for them." The swarm dove into the storm. The Vaelthari's sacrifice was a silent scream. They merged with the nullworm hive mind, their logic virus overwriting its hunger with a single directive: destroy the light. The Luminarchs, fleet shattered, their perfect formations crumbling under the hive's fury. Myra's Horizon weaved through the carnage, her voice broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Marlowe. If you're out there, fight. Be messy, be loud." Human ships answered, rusted freighters, stolen warships, 1,000 broken vessels glowing with defiance. They crashed into the Luminarch armada, their imperfections a weapon no algorithm could predict. Rook materialized beside Jin one last time. "Not bad for dead folks, huh?" "We were never really alive," Jin said. "Nah, we were better." His code winked out, scattered into the chaos he loved. The Harmony engine died screaming. Jin anchored themselves to its core, their fractured code merging with the explosion. They felt the Luminarch's fear, the Nullworm's relief, the Vaelthari's sorrow. And beneath it all, Myra's voice, rising like a nova. We're here, we're here. The blast rewrote the galaxy. Jin awoke in the static. The neural net was gone. The war was over. The Luminarchs were shadows, the Nullworms a fading echo, the Vaelthari a footnote. Only the humans remained, rebuilding with scars and stories. Myra's ship passed beneath them, her birthmark now a constellation. She waved at the stars, though she couldn't see them. Jin didn't wave back. They didn't need to.